Stop. Don't move. Zara froze, her hand hovering over the suitcase splayed open on the bed. She hadn't heard him come in, hadn't heard the door to the hotel room open. But that voice, low, commanding, with the faintest trace of an accent, didn't belong to Devon. She spun around. The man standing in her doorway was a stranger, dark eyes tracking the bruise on her cheekbone with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Who the hell are you? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. And how did you get in here? My hotel. My key. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. You're in the executive suite. I own the building. That doesn't give you the right to. Your husband is in the lobby. He cut her off, pulling out his phone. Making a scene. Demanding to know which room you're in. Security is stalling, but not for long. Zara's stomach dropped. Devon had found her. Of course he had. She'd only been gone 4 hours, hadn't even made it out of the city before exhaustion and fear had driven her into this hotel to regroup. I need you to leave, she said, zipping the suitcase with shaking hands. Now. You're not safe. I'll handle it. Will you? The stranger crossed his arms, blocking her path to the door. Because from where I'm standing, you're about to walk into a man who put that mark on your arms. Forgive me if I don't think that's handling it. Zara's hand moved unconsciously to her arm. The bruise was from 2 nights ago, when she told Devon she wanted a divorce. When his fist had taught her exactly what he thought of that idea. Move, she said, her voice dropping to something cold and dangerous. I don't know you, and I don't need rescuing. Especially not from some billionaire who thinks owning a building means owning the people in it. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. I'm not trying to own you. I'm trying to help. I didn't ask for your help. You didn't have to. He pulled out his phone again, tapped something, then showed her the screen. Security footage of the lobby. Devon was there, red-faced, aggressive, shoving one of the security guards. That man is dangerous. Let me get you somewhere safe. And then what? I hide in one of your other hotels while he tears apart my life looking for me? Zara shook her head. I'm not running anymore. I'm leaving him. There's a difference. Not if he kills you before you can file the paperwork. The blunt words hit like a slap. Zara stared at this stranger who'd invaded her room, her escape, her one moment of agency in months of feeling trapped. Why do you care? She asked. He was quiet for a long moment. Because I know what it's like to feel powerless. And because no one should have to face their monsters alone. If you're watching this wondering who this man is and what Zara does next, hit subscribe right now and drop a like. Comment where you're watching from and what time it is. I love seeing you all from around the world. Now let's find out what happens. Zara studied him, this stranger with his expensive suit and careful eyes. What's your name? Hwan Choi. Korean? Born in Seoul. Raised here. He pocketed his phone. You? Zara Monroe. Born and raised in Detroit. And currently trying to leave my husband without getting killed in the process. Then let me help. Please. There was something in his voice, something raw beneath the polished exterior, that made her pause. She'd spent 3 years with Devon, learning to read the warning signs, the subtle shifts that meant danger. This man had none of those signs. Just genuine concern and something else she couldn't name. What are you proposing? She asked. My penthouse. Top floor. Security that actually works. A safe place for you to figure out your next move. I don't take charity. It's not charity. It's... He hesitated. Call it an investment. In what? In the possibility that sometimes people deserve better than what they've been given. Zara wanted to argue, wanted to prove she could do this alone. But Devon's voice echoed from the phone still in Hwan's hand, loud and threatening, and she knew her options were limited. One night, she said. Then I'm gone. One night, Hwan agreed. He got her out through the service elevator, past Devon's rage, and into a car that cost more than her entire yearly salary. The penthouse was all glass and steel, overlooking the city like a kingdom. Guest room is down the hall, Juan said, setting her suitcase down. You're safe here. He can't get to you. You don't know Devon. I know men like him. Bullies. They're only powerful when their victims are afraid. Zara turned to face him. I'm not his victim. I didn't say you were. But you think I'm weak. Running to you for protection. I think you're smart enough to accept help when it's offered. Juan's voice was calm, infuriatingly reasonable. There's no shame in that. Easy for you to say from your penthouse tower. His jaw tightened. You don't know anything about me. I know you're rich. I know you're used to solving problems with money. And I know you think I'm some damsel who needs saving. That's not. He stopped, took a breath. I'm going to make some calls. Get you a lawyer. Someone who specializes in cases like yours. I already have a lawyer. A good one? Good enough. Zara. Stop. She held up her hand. I appreciate the room. I do. But I don't need you managing my life. I've had enough of men telling me what to do. Something shifted in his expression. Fair enough. But the offer stands. Anything you need, just ask. He left her alone, and Zara sank onto the guest bed, her hands finally starting to shake. She'd done it. She'd left. The divorce papers were in her bag, the ones she'd been hiding for 2 months, waiting for the right moment. Tomorrow she'd file them. Tomorrow she'd start the legal process of untangling her life from Devon's. Tonight, she'd sleep in a stranger's penthouse and try not to think about how easy it would be to let someone else take control. The next morning, Zara woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of voices. She found Juan in the kitchen with a woman in a sharp suit. This is Jennifer Kwan, Juan said. Best divorce attorney in the state. Zara's temper flared. I told you I had a lawyer. And I'm offering you a better one. Juan's voice was maddeningly calm. No charge. Consider it. An investment? Zara cut him off. I'm not your charity case, Juan. Jennifer looked between them, clearly sensing the tension. I'll just step outside. When they were alone, Zara rounded on him. You can't just throw money at my problems and expect me to be grateful. I'm not asking for gratitude. I'm trying to help. By taking over? By making decisions for me? By giving you resources you don't have access to. I have been handling Devon for 3 years. I saved money in secret. I found my own lawyer. I planned my escape down to the minute. I don't need you swooping in like some hero fixing the poor broken woman. Juan's eyes flashed. Is that what you think I'm doing? Isn't it? Rich man saves struggling woman from her terrible life? No. He stepped closer, and she saw real anger there for the first time. I'm trying to make sure you don't end up another statistic. Women who leave abusive partners are at the highest risk of being killed in the weeks after they leave. I've seen it happen. I won't watch it happen to you. The words landed heavy between them. Zara took a breath, forced herself to think past her pride. Who was she asked quietly. What? The woman you couldn't save. Who was she? Juan's face went carefully blank. My sister. 5 years ago. She left her husband. Filed for divorce. 3 weeks later he broke into her apartment and... He stopped, swallowed hard. So yes, I'm trying to help. Because I couldn't help her. Zara's anger drained away, replaced by something complicated. I'm sorry. But I'm not your sister. And you can't protect me from everything. I can try. By controlling my choices. By giving you options. Options you choose for me. They stared at each other, both stubborn, both hurting in different ways. What do you want from me? Juan asked finally. I want you to ask instead of assuming. I want you to treat me like an equal, not a problem to solve. And I want you to trust that I know what I'm doing. Do you? It was the wrong question. Zara grabbed her suitcase. I'm leaving. Zara. Thank you for the room. But I'll handle this my way. She walked out before he could stop her, before she could second-guess herself. Pride was expensive, but her independence was worth more. What do you think? Should Zara have stayed or was she right to leave? Drop a comment and let me know. Zara filed for divorce that afternoon. Devon's response came within hours, a lawsuit claiming she'd stolen marital assets. Lies, all of it, but expensive lies that required expensive lawyers to fight. Her lawyer, her original, affordable lawyer, was sympathetic but clear. This could drag out for months. Maybe years if he wants to be vindictive. And based on these filings, he does. Zara sat in the cheap office and felt the trap closing around her again. She'd left Devon, but he was still controlling her life from a distance. Her phone buzzed. A text from Juan. I heard about the lawsuit. The offer still stands. She deleted it. Then stared at her phone for 10 minutes before typing back, what offer? Dinner. Let me explain what I can do without taking over your life. She almost said no. But Devon was winning again, and her pride wasn't going to pay legal bills. One dinner, she texted back. The restaurant was quiet, expensive, the kind of place where they didn't list prices on the menu. Juan was already there, standing when she arrived. Thank you for coming, he said. I'm not agreeing to anything. Understood. He waited until she sat before sitting himself. I've been thinking about what you said. About asking instead of assuming. And? I'd like to ask if you'll let me cover your legal fees. Not as charity. As a loan. You can pay me back when the divorce is settled and you get your share of the marital assets. Zara studied him. Why? Because Devon is using money as a weapon, and you shouldn't have to fight him with one hand tied behind your back. And what do you get out of it? Juan was quiet for a moment. Honesty? Please. I get to feel like I'm doing something. Like maybe I can help someone this time. He met her eyes. And I get to spend more time with you. Her heart skipped. What? I know the timing is terrible. I know you're leaving your husband and the last thing you need is another man complicating your life. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since yesterday. The way you stood up to me. The way you refused to be saved. I've never met anyone like you. Zara's throat tightened. Juan. I'm not asking for anything, he said quickly. I'm just being honest about why I'm offering. You can take the loan and never see me again if that's what you want. But I had to tell you the truth. She should walk away. Should protect herself. Should focus on Devon and the divorce and rebuilding her life alone. But when was the last time someone had looked at her like she was strong instead of broken? Dinner first, she said. Then we talk about the loan. His smile was slow, genuine. Deal. They talked through 3 courses. He told her about growing up between 2 cultures, about his sister, about building his business from his grandfather's import company into a hotel empire. She told him about Detroit, about meeting Devon in college, about the slow erosion of herself until she barely recognized the woman in the mirror. When did you decide to leave? Juan asked. The night he hit me. I realized I'd been making excuses for years. The verbal abuse, the control, the isolation from my friends. I told myself it wasn't that bad. That he loved me and just had a temper. But the moment his fist connected, something clicked. I saw the future clearly. And I knew if I didn't leave, I'd die there. Maybe not physically, but everything that made me who I was would be gone. Juan reached across the table, stopped just short of touching her hand. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't about not being afraid. It's about being terrified and doing it anyway. Zara looked at his hand, so close to hers. I can't be with anyone right now. Even if I wanted to. I need to figure out who I am without Devon. I know. But I could use a friend. Someone who sees me as capable but doesn't mind standing beside me while I fight my battles. Not fighting them for you. Never for me. Beside me. There's a difference. Juan finally closed the distance, his fingers gentle against hers. I can do that. The divorce took 4 months. Devon fought every step, but with Jennifer Kwan's expertise and Juan's financial backing as a loan, Zara won. Not just won, she got everything she was entitled to and more. Devon's assets were split, his lies exposed, and by the end, he was the one looking pathetic in court. The day the divorce was finalized, Zara walked out of the courthouse and found Juan waiting. How does it feel? He asked. Terrifying. Amazing. Like I can finally breathe. She looked at him, this man who'd kept his promise to stand beside her without taking over. Thank you. You did all the hard work. But you were there. Every court date. Every late-night panic attack. Every moment I wanted to give up. That's what friends do. Zara stepped closer. What if I don't want to be friends anymore? His breath caught. What do you want? I want to see if this thing between us is real. I want to try dating someone who sees me as an equal. I want. She paused. I want to see where this goes. If you're still interested. Zara. Her name on his lips sounded like a prayer. I've been waiting 4 months to hear you say that. I needed those 4 months. Needed to prove to myself that I could stand on my own. And now? Now I'm choosing to stand with you. Not because I need you, but because I want you. There's a difference. Juan cupped her face carefully, mindful of boundaries that no longer needed to exist. Can I kiss you? You better. He kissed her on the courthouse steps, gentle and patient and full of promise. It wasn't the desperate passion of her first marriage. It was better. It was chosen. Equal. Real. When they pulled apart, Zara was smiling. So about that loan. Consider it forgiven. Absolutely not. We're equals, remember? I'm paying you back. Every cent. Juan laughed. You're going to be difficult about this, aren't you? About everything. Forever. Hope you can handle it. I'm counting on it. They started dating properly. Slowly. Juan learned to ask instead of assume, to offer help without taking over. Zara learned to accept support without seeing it as weakness, to trust someone without losing herself. 6 months later, Juan took her to meet his family in Seoul. His mother was skeptical at first, but Zara had spent too long proving herself to care about anyone's doubts. She was respectful but firm, warm but honest. By the end of the week, his mother was planning their wedding. I didn't ask you to marry me yet, Juan protested. Your mother's very enthusiastic, Zara said, amused. Does it bother you? Her assuming? No. Because it's her excitement, not her control. And because. She paused. Because if you did ask, I'd say yes. Juan stopped walking. They were in a park in Seoul, cherry blossoms falling around them like snow. Are you sure? We've only been together 6 months. I'm sure that I know who I am now. I'm sure that you see me clearly and love me anyway. I'm sure that we're partners, equals, and that's worth more than any timeline. Zara smiled. But you should probably still court me properly before proposing. I'm worth the effort. You are. Juan pulled her close. You're worth everything. He proposed 3 months later, on the anniversary of the day she'd walked out of his hotel room in anger. The day she'd chosen her independence over his help. The day that had somehow led them here. I love that you didn't need me, he said, on one knee with a ring that caught the light. And I love that you choose me anyway. Marry me, Zara. Not because I can protect you or provide for you, but because we're better together than apart. Yes, she said, pulling him up to kiss him. Yes. Before we finish this story, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Hit that subscribe button now. They married a year after her divorce was finalized. Small ceremony, close friends, Juan's family, and what was left of hers. Zara wore a dress she'd chosen herself, paid for with money from her new job at a nonprofit helping domestic violence survivors. When she said her vows, she spoke about second chances and choosing love with clear eyes. About the difference between needing someone and wanting them. About partnership built on respect instead of control. When Juan said his, he promised to always ask, never assume. To stand beside her, never in front of her. To love the strength in her, especially when it pushed back against him. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. Two people who'd both been broken by loss, his sister, her marriage, learning to build something stronger from the pieces. Not a rescue. A partnership. Not a savior and a victim. Two equals choosing each other every day. Devon sent a bitter email on their wedding day. Zara deleted it without reading past the first line. He didn't get space in her new life, her new happiness. Years later, when people asked how they met, they told the truth. A Korean billionaire barged into his hotel room and found a woman packing to leave her abusive husband. He tried to save her. She proved she could save herself. They fell in love anyway. Because sometimes the best love stories start with conflict. Sometimes you have to fight for your independence before you can choose interdependence. And sometimes, the person who challenges you becomes the person who changes you. Zara never forgot Devon existed. But she stopped defining herself by his abuse. Stopped carrying that weight. Juan had been right that first night, in his own way. He couldn't make her forget. But he could give her something better to remember. And in the end, partnership was worth more than rescue. Being chosen was worth more than being saved. If this story moved you, if you've ever had to choose between accepting help and maintaining your independence, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling me about your journey, your strength, your second chances. Because we all deserve our own story of choosing love as equals.